Hello everyone, this is Darcenovia here. This is my review on the fifth book of the Wheel of Time, Fires of Heaven. This is pretty damn quick for how long it's normally taken me to get through these books. This and the third book took me the fastest to get through. And I still haven't finished A Dance with Dragons, not because I'm bored, but because Winds of Winter ain't coming out fast enough and there's no need to rush. The wheel of time is finished, so I can read at as fast as I want or as slow as I want because the series is finished and I don't have to worry about it. Now, the Fires of Heaven, it took me a lot faster to get through this book is because my interest in reading Star Wars, has waned quite a bit because of I'm in the Clone Wars era and I'm getting a little burned out at this point. So I have to take a break from Star Wars, and that's how I got through it this quickly. The Fires of Heaven is, a novel that mostly focuses on Ran al'Thor and Nynaeve. Um, Unlike The Fires of Heaven, which had a lot of focus characters, you know, my favorite character, Perrin, unfortunately, is not in this book. So if you're a Perrin fan, I'm just letting you know in advance, he's not anywhere to be seen in this novel. But that doesn't make it bad, because other characters that haven't really had a chance to actually, shine at this point, or at least have a time to be focused on, Nynaeve, which I know it's not popular a thing to say, but I think Nynaeve is a pretty interesting character, and she's pretty relatable. And it was a joy for me to read her chapters. Ran al'Thor, a character I wasn't really that interested in, a few books ago, it is so interesting at this point. He's like a multi-layered character, and in some ways, I think this book is easier to follow than Shadow Rising. I'm not saying this as a criticism towards the previous novel. I think the previous novel is amazing. I think it's the best in the series, in my opinion. But this, since it's focused on a smaller cast of characters, I feel like the plots are easier to follow and than it is in Shadows Rising. Shadow Rising, had a lot of developments going on in here. It's like everything in that book was just one revelation after the other. I wish I would have brought it up in my review. There isn't as much big reveals in this novel as there was in the last one, but reading about the further, development of Rand al'Thor and him, accepting his role as the Dragon Reborn. And I find it to be interesting because Rand is not your typical protagonist, and he's very interesting in that sense. And I'm a little nervous how they're going to translate him in the TV show. Nynaeve, I feel like this is the novel where she, finally, gets the character development that she needed. Because at this point, she's been a little stuck up, and but if you've read into the character, you can understand why she would appear to be that way. I never saw her that way, but I mean, I think it's pretty, human to be used to being in control and then being in a situation where you're not in control. And I think, the strife in the, with the White Tower is another thing I liked. I mean, this book did actually focus on minor characters, but they're not focused really that much. Like the foreman Amyrlin Seat has a few chapters to herself. Queen Marjorie, has, a chapter to herself. I mean, this book, like Shadow Rising, sets the seeds for future events and future novels. This is my interpretation. I feel like this book, like its predecessor, does an amazing job, setting up future, arcs that are going to be interesting to read about. At least I hope so. And there was a signal dull moment, and towards the end, holy crap. Spoiler alert. Moraine, you know, is dead apparently. Well, don't spoil it for those who've read the whole series, but yeah, Moraine goes out in a badass way in this book, and it kind of reminds me in some ways of how Gandalf the Grey went out in Lord of the Rings. At this point, there's literally, you know, nothing to really compare the Wheel of Time to at this point, because it's so original at now that this book, along with the last one, just proves, you know, that the Wheel of Time, you know, is its own thing. I mean, the concept of the one power and everything else, you know, it feels like it has come to its own by this point. And that's a good thing. It really is a good thing. The only negative thing I could really say is Perrin's not in this novel, and that's just me personally, as someone that loves the character of Perrin, and I think him and Nynaeve are easy to relate to, honestly, at least for me, and that's why I think those characters are interesting to read about. And taking the advice of a well-known Wheel Time fan on YouTube, I'm going to read the New Spring as the next book I'm going to review, not Lord of Chaos, because I feel like it's the right time to read it, and I'm going to have to at some point, and I feel like it'd be a good time to maybe take a break from this before I get into like another freaking tome of a book, because this one, holy crap, is longer than the previous two, and I will get to this, quicker than you think. Now, I consider this, I give this a classic rating because I think it's good. I think it's the second best novel in the series, and honestly, I don't know how the series can get better at this point than Fires of Heaven and Shadow Rising, because so much happens, so much development, that I don't know. I don't want to keep my expectations too high, because Robert Jordan just delivered, and I can see why the series has a lot of reread value. I cannot wait to reread these books one day, because I could see myself enjoying them more the second time. Anyway, enough rambling. This is Darcenovia, over and out. See you guys next time with another review, whether it's Star Wars, Dune, or the next Wheel of Time novel, or the next Mistborn novel. I'll see you in the next review. Later.